questioning whether I am the fighter he thought I was.
You gotta get up right now! Keep going, keep going!
There are moments in life when the world only sees your success, the bright lights, the fame, the laughter that fills screens across the globe. But what they don't see are the nights of uncertainty, the heartbreak, the invisible battles that shape who you become. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's story is one of those rare journeys that remind us, even the darkest chapters can lead to the brightest triumphs. Behind the unstoppable smile and the massive presence stands a man who once had nothing, no home, no money, no hope. Yet through raw determination, humility, and grit, he rose from rock bottom to become one of the most beloved figures on earth. Dwayne Douglas Johnson was born into a wrestling family, but not one of comfort or stability. His father, Rocky Johnson, was a pioneering black professional wrestler, and his mother, Eta, was the daughter of the legendary Samoan wrestling figure, Peter Maivia. You'd think that meant a secure life, but it didn't. The family struggled constantly. Dwayne often watched his parents barely scrape by, unsure if they'd make rent or have food for the next week. One day, when he was just 15, he came home from school to see his family's car being repossessed. That sight, his mother crying beside the car, burned itself into his memory forever. It was one of the first times he truly felt powerless. Later, he would describe it as the moment that lit a fire inside him. He swore to himself he'd do whatever it took to make sure his family would never suffer like that again. In interviews, he's often said, "We were living paycheck to paycheck. I'll never forget the feeling of being broke. It stays with you forever." Those words aren't just a reflection of his past. They're a constant reminder of what fuels him, even now. Back then, though, Dwayne wasn't a role model. He was a teenager filled with anger, frustration, and confusion. He got into fights, was arrested multiple times, and didn't see a real future for himself. But then came a moment of unexpected grace. A high school football coach saw potential in him. That man told him, "You've got potential, son, but potential means nothing unless you put in the work." That line changed the direction of his life. Dwayne began to pour all his energy into football. It became his escape, his mission. Through discipline and obsession, he transformed himself into a powerful athlete and eventually earned a full scholarship to the University of Miami, one of the best football programs in the nation. For the first time, life seemed to be going his way. He was living his dream, playing among future NFL stars, and believing that football would be his ticket to a better life. But then, just as quickly as things had started to look up, everything fell apart. A serious back injury ended his dream before it ever truly began. After his recovery, he tried again, this time joining the Canadian Football League's Calgary Stampeders. He gave it everything he had, but 2 months later, they cut him from the team. He had no job, no direction, and just $7 left in his pocket. In that moment, the dream was gone. The future he had worked for evaporated. He said before, "When life closes a door on you, it's protecting you from walking into a disaster." But at the time, it didn't feel like protection. It felt like failure. He returned home to Florida to live with his parents. They were struggling financially, and he was sleeping on a mattress he pulled from behind a cheap motel. There was no money, no hope, and for a while, no motivation to move forward. Dwayne has spoken openly about that period of depression, how he cried daily, how lost he felt. "I didn't want to do a thing," he said. "I didn't want to go anywhere. I was crying constantly." It's hard to imagine that the same man who now embodies strength once felt that broken, but that's what makes his story real. Then, one morning, everything changed. Sitting alone in that small room, he made a decision. He could either let his story end there, or he could write a new chapter. That silent decision became the foundation for the legend the world now knows as The Rock. He decided to follow in his father's footsteps and pursue professional wrestling. His father wasn't thrilled about it. He knew how brutal and uncertain that world could be. But Dwayne was determined. He said, "If I'm going to fail, I'll fail on my own terms." So he started training. Every day he pushed himself harder, lifting, running, learning the craft. It wasn't glamorous. It was sweat, pain, and repetition. But with every bruise, he was building something bigger than a body. He was building resilience. In 1996, he finally got his chance. He joined WWE, stepping into the ring under the name Rocky Maivia, a tribute to his father and grandfather. But instead of cheers, he was met with boos. The audience hated him. They called him fake, too clean, too polite. They even chanted, "Die, Rocky, die," for a young man who had clawed his way out of despair. That kind of rejection could have broken him, but it didn't. He chose reinvention instead of retreat. He created a new persona, The Rock, confident, bold, unpredictable, and real. He embraced the swagger, the charisma, and most importantly, his authentic self. That's when everything began to change. The same fans who once hated him began to love him. He connected with millions, not because he was perfect, but because he was raw. He was real. He was relentless. Over time, The Rock became one of the most electrifying figures in sports entertainment. He headlined sold-out arenas, won multiple championships, and became a household name across the world. But even then, he wasn't satisfied. Deep down, Dwayne knew that his purpose was bigger than the ring. He had conquered wrestling. Now he wanted to conquer the world. When he announced he was leaving WWE to pursue acting, people laughed. Another wrestler trying to act, they said. Hollywood is full of stories of failed transitions. But Dwayne wasn't one to listen to the noise. His mindset was simple: outwork everyone. His first few movie roles were small, but then came The Scorpion King in 2002, his first leading role. The movie earned him $5.5 million, the highest paycheck ever given to a first-time lead actor. But more than the paycheck, it proved something. Hard work, consistency, and belief always find a way. From there, he went on to star in films like Fast and Furious, Jumanji, Moana, and Black Adam. Today, he's one of the highest-paid and most beloved actors on the planet. Yet, through all that success, he remains grounded in the lessons he learned when he had only $7 to his name. He often reminds his fans and followers, be humble, be hungry, and always be the hardest worker in the room. Those aren't just words. They're a reflection of everything he lived through. What makes Dwayne Johnson's story so inspiring isn't the fame or the fortune. It's the transformation. It's how he turned failure into his foundation. He teaches that pain can be a powerful teacher, that every closed door, every rejection, every heartbreak can be the push you need to find your true path. He didn't let life's blows define him. He used them to carve out his own destiny. When you look at his journey, you see three powerful lessons. First, turn pain into power. Life will hit you hard, but if you let that pain drive you instead of destroy you, you can become unstoppable. Second, hard work beats everything. When talent fails to work hard, discipline takes over. Dwayne has built his empire not on luck, but on relentless effort. And third, embrace reinvention. Don't be afraid to start over, to evolve, to rewrite your story when life demands it. He's lived that lesson again and again. From football player to wrestler to actor to entrepreneur. Even now, Dwayne starts his days with gratitude. He often shares how he wakes up before sunrise, spends time reflecting, and focuses on the blessings he's earned and the ones he's still chasing. He said, "I'm grateful for the pain, because without it, I wouldn't be the man I am today." Gratitude and growth. Those are his daily rituals. What's most admirable about him is that he's never forgotten his roots. Despite all the fame, he still speaks to his fans as family. He uses his platform to inspire millions, to remind them that failure isn't the end. It's often the beginning, that even when you've got only a few dollars left in your pocket, you still have something priceless, the power to begin again. So, when you find yourself at your lowest, when your dreams seem out of reach, and the world feels like it's turning against you, remember Dwayne Johnson's story. Remember that he once sat on a mattress behind a motel with only $7 and a promise to himself. Remember that pain can be the start of purpose. And above all, remember his words. Be humble, be hungry, and always be the hardest worker in the room. Because one day, you'll look back and realize that those hard days, the ones that almost broke you, were the days that built you. After leaving the wrestling ring behind, Dwayne Johnson stepped into Hollywood with the same hunger that once carried him out of despair. But success didn't come overnight. The film industry wasn't waiting for a former wrestler to take over. Many saw him as just another athlete trying to act, another novelty who would fade away. Yet, as history would show, The Rock wasn't built to fade. He was built to rise. At first, Dwayne accepted small parts. He didn't chase stardom, he chased growth. Every role was a chance to learn, to improve, to outwork the person he had been yesterday. His first major break came with The Scorpion King. It wasn't just a movie, it was a statement. For his debut leading role, he earned $5.5 million, setting a Hollywood record. But the real victory wasn't the paycheck. It was the realization that he could transform again, from wrestler to actor, from entertainer to global icon. He once said, "Success isn't always about greatness, it's about consistency. Consistent hard work leads to success. Greatness will come." That consistency became the foundation of everything that followed. Still, Hollywood wasn't easy. Critics doubted his depth, producers questioned his range, and audiences weren't sure who he truly was outside the ring. Dwayne could have chosen safe roles, the kind that kept him typecast as the big action guy. Instead, he chose risk. He explored comedy, drama, even voice acting. He learned, adapted, evolved the same way he had done every time life forced him to start over. It's that willingness to learn publicly, to fail in front of millions, that made him human. And that humility, paired with relentless discipline, made him unstoppable. As years passed, his filmography expanded. Fast and Furious, Jumanji, San Andreas, Moana, Black Adam, Jungle Cruise, and so many more. Each role showed a new side of him: strength, humor, vulnerability, leadership. He didn't just play heroes, he embodied them. His characters reflected who he was off-screen: resilient, grounded, and fiercely motivated. But even as he conquered Hollywood, he never lost touch with where he came from. He would often post about his early struggles, reminding fans that he started with nothing but a dream and $7 in his pocket. That memory became so symbolic that he later named his own company $7 Productions, a tribute to those humble beginnings. What separates Dwayne from many others isn't just his work ethic, it's his mindset. He treats every day as a battle, every sunrise as an opportunity. He wakes up before dawn, trains for hours, and begins each morning with gratitude. He's spoken about how he starts his day in silence, reflecting, centering, and focusing on what truly matters. "I get up at 4 a.m. because the world is still asleep," he once said. "That's when I have peace. That's when I set my intentions. Because once the sun rises, it's game time." For Dwayne, mornings aren't about physical fitness. They're about mental preparation. It's in those quiet moments that he reconnects with the boy who had nothing, the young man who refused to give up. Behind his strength lies a deep understanding of pain and a profound empathy for others. Dwayne has openly shared his experiences with mental health, reminding his millions of followers that even the strongest people struggle sometimes. "I've battled depression more than once," he said in an interview. "The key is to not be afraid to open up. You're not alone." Those words resonated across generations because they revealed something rare: vulnerability in strength. His openness made it okay for others, especially men, to talk about their struggles. He became a symbol not just of power, but of emotional courage. And while fame can often isolate, Dwayne uses his platform to connect. His social media isn't just about movies or training. It's filled with gratitude posts, family moments, and motivational messages. He calls his followers family. And it's easy to see why. He understands that influence is responsibility, that the real measure of success isn't how high you rise, but how many you lift along the way. His actions mirror that belief. He's donated to countless causes, surprised fans with gifts, and supported young athletes and veterans alike. Whether it's buying his mom a new home, gifting his cousin a car, or giving back to children's hospitals, his generosity speaks louder than his fame. But his journey wasn't just about professional success. It was about personal evolution too. In his early years, his schedule revolved around ambition. Every hour was dedicated to building, improving, achieving. But as time went on, he realized that true success means balance, finding harmony between work, love, and purpose. His relationship with his family, especially his daughters, reflects that growth. He often says being a father is his greatest role. He shared moments where his little girls climb all over him while he's trying to work out, and he laughs about it because those are the memories that keep him grounded. Being a father, he once said, means being the rock they can always lean on. That's the real strength. Dwayne's life today looks like a highlight reel: private jets, blockbuster movies, luxury homes, but he never lets that image overshadow his truth. He still talks about being that young man who was broke, scared, and searching for a purpose. He reminds people that his journey wasn't a straight line. It was full of detours, doubts, and darkness. And yet, that's what makes his story powerful. Because in the end, success isn't about avoiding failure. It's about rising every single time you fall. His philosophy of life can be summed up in 3 words: grind, gratitude, growth. Grind for what you believe in. Stay grateful for what you have, and keep growing, no matter how far you've come. It's that simple and that profound. He's living proof that with discipline, you can change not only your circumstances, but your entire destiny. His life reminds us that greatness isn't built in comfort. It's built in the chaos you survive. One of his most repeated quotes is, "Be humble, be hungry, and always be the hardest worker in the room." It's more than a catchphrase. It's a life strategy. Humility keeps him grounded. Hunger keeps him moving forward. And hard work keeps him unshakable. When asked what drives him, he once replied, "I remember when I had nothing. That hunger never leaves me." That's the mindset of a man who never forgot where he started. He also understands that leadership means service. Whether on a movie set or in the gym, he leads by example. People are drawn to his energy because it's genuine. He celebrates others, lifts his co-stars, and gives credit to his team. That's what makes him more than a celebrity. He's a force of nature, a living reminder that kindness and strength can coexist. Beyond entertainment, Dwayne has become a powerful entrepreneur. His production company, $7 Productions, has produced major films and television projects. He's also co-founded Terramana Tequila, a brand rooted in authenticity and community. Unlike many celebrities who simply lend their names to products, Dwayne's involvement is personal. He's often seen meeting with distillers, workers, and fans. He treats business the same way he treats life, with passion, humility, and purpose. He once said, "I don't want to just build a company. I want to build something that brings people together." That's what defines his success, not just profit, but impact. And yet, despite everything, he remains the same at his core, a man grateful for second chances. He's proof that failure isn't fatal, that pain can refine you, that even when the world doubts you, you can choose to believe in yourself. His story teaches us that no matter how heavy life feels, you always have a choice, to surrender or to fight back stronger. In a way, Dwayne Johnson's life mirrors a movie. The first act was struggle, poverty, rejection, failure. The second act was transformation, finding his voice, building his identity. And the third act is legacy, using his success to inspire millions. He's no longer just an actor or a former athlete. He's a living example of resilience, a man who has turned obstacles into opportunities time and time again. For young people watching him, his message is simple. Start with what you have, where you are. You don't need perfect conditions to begin. You just need belief and effort. When life knocks you down, use that moment as your turning point. Remember that sometimes the hardest seasons are the ones that prepare you for your greatest blessings. The most beautiful part of Dwayne's journey is how he never let success change his essence. Fame didn't make him arrogant. It made him more compassionate. Wealth didn't make him careless. It made him more generous. Every time he looks back at that moment, when he had $7 in his pocket, he sees not a failure, but the foundation of everything that came after. That's the kind of mindset that transforms lives. So when you watch Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson on screen, smiling, inspiring, larger than life, remember the man behind the legend. Remember the kid who lost everything, the young athlete who failed, the man who rebuilt himself piece by piece. His journey is proof that strength isn't about never falling. It's about rising with purpose every single time you do. And maybe that's why millions connect with him, because he represents hope. Hope that no matter how deep the struggle, there's always a way forward. Hope that discipline and belief can rewrite destiny. Hope that, just like The Rock, we all have the power to turn our lowest moments into our greatest comebacks. So, if you ever find yourself doubting your path, remember his story. Remember that greatness is forged in struggle, that dreams take time, that every step forward, no matter how small, counts. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to keep moving. Because someday, like Dwayne Johnson, you'll look back and realize rock bottom wasn't the end of your story. It was the solid ground you needed to build your rise.